With gas prices remaining at a consistent low here in the States, the subcompact segment has seen a continuous slump in sales, which is why when Kia redesigned the Rio for 2018, it was an interesting proposition. This week I'm testing the all-new 4th generation model. Was it worth the effort on Kia's part? Let's take a look and find out. They say you have to start somewhere in every aspect of life, and for many, a Kia Rio has often been the first new car purchase. Even Redline, if you guys remember, way back in 2013, a Kia Rio was the very first press car we ever got for a week's worth of testing, which is why it all feels rather deja vu-ish that I'm sitting here in the redesigned 4th generation 2018 Kia Rio. And I have to say, going into a car like this kind of reminds me that most people are actually buying a car like this, and it kind of brings me back to reality. Now, for the 4th generation Kia Rio, the company took it very, very conservatively with this redesign. If you guys remember the previous generation, 3rd gen, which ran from 2011 to 2017, it was often known as kind of the more premium offering in this segment. And judging by the design, Kia has really taken a step back with the all-new Rio. It very much looks like a subcompact economy car for those of you on a budget. Now, you can see the styling takes a lot of the design cues that we've seen from all the most recent Kia design products. It's a very conservative look with the tiger nose grille at the front. These rather unapologetic halogen headlights with no projector beam elements like the previous generation. You do get projector beam fog lights on my tester, but no LED running lights, no LED accent lights, no LED or HID headlights. Forget about it. This car is a very honest, basic transportation kind of car. In fact, from some angles, I think it actually looks a little too basic, kind of reminding me a little bit of a Mitsubishi Mirage. Not a great comparison for Kia, which technically has been showcasing a lot of premium looking designs. Now, my particular tester is the top of the line EX trim. Kia has axed the SX trim for 2018. You can now take your pick between the LX S or the EX trim, which is now the top of the line tester. Now, looking around the sides dimensionally, this car has increased in practically every way by smidge amounts. The wheelbase is now 0.4 inches longer. Overall length is about a ½ inch longer. It sits a little bit lower. It is a little bit wider compared to the previous generation. You can still take your pick between a 4-door sedan or a hatchback like my tester, where the hatchback is about a foot shorter in overall length. Now, these 15-inch wheels are standard on the EX model. They're very humble looking, in my opinion. They're riding on 185 series tires. If you guys remember, the old model offered 17-inch wheels on 205 series rubber. So this car definitely looks like it took a step back in terms of premium design. But hey, Kia said that buyers in this segment don't necessarily care for the top of the line features and big wheels and tires, so they wanted to keep it a very honest car. Now, out back, the look is also quite conservative with just standard incandescent bulbs. There's no LED taillights like the previous generation. In fact, Kia kind of flip-flopped. The Hyundai Accent is the corporate cousin of the Kia Rio. And if you guys want the Accent, a new version is also coming out in a couple of months, and that model offers the premium features that the old Kia Rio offered. But if you guys are wanting to keep it simple, you definitely have the Kia Rio to look forward to. This is the top of the line model that offers basically most of the features you could want at a price that is affordable for most Americans. But enough about the exterior. Let's take a look at the inside and see if Kia offers any special touches as opposed to the rather conservative looking exterior. The subcompact segment is definitely not known for offering premium features, although the Rio, the last generation, was one of those vehicles that introduced that. For 2018, just like the rest of the exterior where it's taken a more conservative look, you cannot get smart key access system or push button start. In fact, if you guys go for a base LX, it doesn't even give you a remote keyless access. You get manual windows. So this EX model does give you the remote keyless access with the switchblade key. If you guys want the push button start, it's just not available with the smart entry on the Rio on any trim for 2018. So, it works traditionally. Just to lock it, you push the lock button. To unlock it, push this twice, it unlocks all the doors. And then when you approach the Rio, and open the door, you can see the interior actually is surprisingly upscale looking. My tester is kind of an EX launch edition that gives you this upgraded red leather with the red accents on the inside for $500. It only comes with this phantom gray exterior color, which is kind of boring. So this car is really boring on the outside, but it's surprisingly handsome on the inside. So I have to say, I was rather impressed when I first opened the door because the outside just didn't really grab my attention, even for an economy car. Now, stepping inside the all-new Rio, you can see it basically is easy to get in and out of. It's, you know, got a nice big opening. It sits a little bit lower to the ground than I expected, but, you know, this is a really, you know, basic car, basic transportation. And when you shut the door, it actually sounds really solid, so that kind of gives you an impression of quality. So, you know, that's a good thing, especially in this class of vehicle. Now, as I said, no push button start, so you got to put the key in the ignition over here. It's not even lit up, which is, again, what I expected in this class, but turn the key. Surprisingly nice looking gauges and a very nice infotainment system. And the one thing Kia did fix, if you guys remember my old review of this car and the Hyundai Accent, it had a very agricultural sound to the starter, and it actually sounds pretty normal now. So they did, you know, replace the starter with something that sounds a little bit more premium. So at least they were listening to the complaints of myself or maybe even some customers. But the engine, it's a buzzy 1.6 liter 4-cylinder. I'll go into that later on in the video, but looking at the rest of this interior, you can see I'm actually rather impressed. This is the newer design language, obviously, that Kia has been introducing. You can see it's got this floating style infotainment LCD screen. It's a 7-inch display. This is the upgraded head unit. This is the only trim level to get this upgraded head unit. There's no navigation available in this vehicle. It's the traditional Kia Uvo interface. It does have Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. This is the only trim to get it. It's not standard on the basic trim, so you gotta pony up for the EX if you guys want this feature. But the screen itself is a little bit smaller than some of the bigger Kias, which have an 8-inch display, but you know, it's very easy to work with. The touch response is fantastic. It's basically what, you know, you expect in this class of vehicle. Keep in mind, however, there's no factory navigation. If you want navigation, you just have to go to the map interface from your phone, and it kind of grafts it onto there, which again, I don't really use Apple Maps. I would love to see Waze compatibility, but it's just not on Apple products. Android Auto did introduce Waze on some of the, on like a Chevy Cruze, I believe, which should be coming for the rest of the model year cars. When you put the vehicle into reverse, you do get a backup camera. This is only included on the S trim level, the mid trim. The LX, the base model, doesn't have a backup camera. The EX actually gives you trajectory, so it's actually a really nice backup camera. No parking sensors, nevertheless, but my expectations are kind of low, especially in this class of vehicle. Now, the interior materials, you can see it's all hard touch plastic everywhere, although this you know, red plastic on the dash here actually does have a nice feeling to it. It's all hard touch plastic down here. The door panels are also hard touch plastic again, hard touch right here. It is slightly padded over here, just barely, which is good because this is where your elbows are going to rest. The window is one touch automatic up and down for the driver's side, only included on the EX. The S model only gives you one touch down, and then the LX has manual hand crank windows. The window switches themselves, they feel a little bit on the cheap side, but again, this is the, you know, least expensive model Kia makes, so my expectations are low. The steering wheel is actually really nice. I really love the leather wrapped wheel. It has really high quality leather and stitching, and the wheel itself, you know, it has a nice smooth, you know, turns every time you turn the wheel. It's an electric power steering assist. No paddles on the wheel. Wasn't expecting that. As I said before, the gauges are also quite nice. You can basically adjust, you know, all your different, you know, informations from this little toggle switch right there. You can put, you know, adjust the driver assistance functions, whatnot. It's rather small. The LCD screen, helper screen, is pretty small, but again, my expectations are low for this class of vehicle. Surprisingly, the EX model, like my tester, gives you things like automatic emergency braking and then forward collision alert. This is the only trim to get it, and it actually works quite well. It was very unexpected. I didn't realize this car had it until it flashed the brake, or like emergency brake message in the center display when it thought I was going to hit somebody when the traffic in front of me came to a sudden stop. Now over here you have manual climate controls. It's a cable actuated you know, knob, which is what I expected, although it does feel pretty high quality, so I am pretty pleased by that. No automatic climate control. It is available on the Hyundai Accent though, the new one that's coming out. Down here you have, you know, your USB, your aux port, another 12 volt. There's a place where you can put your phone here, although it's not covered storage, so keep that in mind. Down here this controls your 6-speed automatic transmission. It has a manual shift mode. It even has a sport mode, which honestly the sport mode only changes the transmission shift programming. It doesn't change anything else. It makes the steering slightly heavier, but it doesn't really add any feel. You have a traditional pull-up handbrake over here. You have some nice cup holders down here. And then surprisingly, in this class, it's not known for having an armrest, but Kia gives you a nice armrest that actually slides forward too, and it's nice and leather padded. So that was very unexpected. So the interior is pretty nice in that aspect. You have, nice storage over here where you can actually cover up or hide some things in that center console. The glove compartment also is damped. It's actually pretty big, not lined with felt, which is expected, but this is a pretty inexpensive car. The seats, I really like the seats actually. This class of car is known for having really crappy seats, but I found the seats to be rather supportive, comfortable, for this segment, and I really just love the, bolsters, and they actually hold you in place, and it looks good with this red, black with the contrast stitching. So again, the interior of this car is very unexpectedly nice. A lot nicer looking than the boring exterior. The only thing that's missing is factory navigation and a sunroof. Those two features not available, but I think Kia really included all the other features that most buyers in this segment are really going to want. The rear seat of the 2018 Kia Rio is pretty small. It's class competitive for this segment. The hatchback and the sedan give you the same amount of legroom despite the sedan being a foot longer. The wheelbase is the same. Now, stepping back here, you can see it's pretty tight. A Honda Fit to me gives you more legroom. The Nissan Versa, however, gives you the most space in this segment. And then when you shut the door, it doesn't sound quite as solid as the front, but again, this is an inexpensive car. You have, hard touch plastics all in the upper door panels here. It is slightly padded right here where your elbows are going to rest. There's no vents back here, of course. Kia does give you one map pocket, and then surprisingly, there's a USB power outlet back here, so that's pretty nice. No armrests in the center. I wasn't expecting that either, but the seats do fold down 60/40 to give you more versatility in the cargo area. Opening up the rear hatch on the hatchback model does give you a really good amount of space. You're looking at just under 18 cubic feet of space with the seats up. If you fold down the rear seats, you get about 32 cubic feet of space, which is much more than the sedan, which offers only like 13.7. The Honda Fit gives you more space though. That's like around 25 and maybe 52 cubic feet of space. So again, the Rio is down on the cargo capacity versus some of its competitors. Underneath the floor down here, you have a temporary spare tire, so you don't have to deal with a fix-a-flat kit. Under the hood of the new Rio, Kia keeps it pretty simple. You're looking at the same 1.6-liter gasoline direct injection 4-cylinder. That's what GDI stands for. This engine's been used since the previous generation, and Kia did update the tuning for greater mid-range response. It actually makes less horsepower this year, 130 horsepower down from 138 and 119 pound-feet of torque. Now, it all goes through a 6-speed manual standard on the base LX model, or you can go for a 6-speed automatic, which is standard on the upper trims. It's a $1,000 option on the LX trim. Now, Kia did improve the fuel economy slightly. It's now rated at 28 in the city, 37 on the highway, 32 combined. The manual gets 1 mpg better in the city versus the automatic. It's really only an improvement of 1 mpg. And honestly, if I'm keeping score here, a lot of mid-sized family cars like the Toyota Camry, which gets 2941 with the 4-cylinder, come to mind. So really, you're not going to be getting better gas mileage than a mid-sized car, by going in this class of vehicle. Now, all Rios are front-wheel drive. This car weighs around 2,500 pounds. Let's get out on the road and see how it all performs, shall we? So first, setting off in the new 2018 Kia Rio. It's been a while since I drove one of these. And to be honest, this segment of vehicle has really been on a pretty big steady decline in terms of sales because Americans just simply don't care about saving gas as much, with gas being consistently low. SUV sales have been high, truck sales have been high because, we like our space, we like our power, we like our luxury. So, it was a bold decision for Kia to actually, redesign this car, and they made it even more basic. So, hey, they're keeping it honest. And, when you first drive the Rio, I kind of get that impression of, this is an honest, inexpensive car. That's not to say it's a bad car. It actually drives pretty nice for what it is. The seating position actually is quite good. I like the fact that the seat is now height adjustable for the driver's side, which, not be included in this segment. Don't expect to find power seats, however. The ride quality also is not bad. You know, it's got a semi-independent twist beam, you know, rear suspension, you know, where you do feel it crashes a little bit over bumps, but because of the small 15-inch wheels, the tires soak up most of the impacts from any of the nasties. And you know what? The handling is actually not bad either. The Rio, you know, feels pretty playful. It's not sporty. You can hear the tires are so they're so crappy in terms of their grip. They just start complaining anytime you start doing some enthusiastic driving. The steering is pretty slow by, you know, small car standards. The Honda Fit or the Ford Fiesta is still the sportier offering in this segment. The Rio, you know, it's just kind of an honest car, as I said before. And acceleration from the 1.6 is leisurely, adequate at times maybe. It's still buzzy, you know, it's, you know, a small displacement 4-cylinder. It's not the most refined engine, but the 6-speed automatic, surprisingly, is a really good partner. Really refined, much preferred over the CVTs and most of the competitors, or even some of them which still offer a 4-speed automatic. I'm looking at you, Toyota, with your Yaris, which still has a 4-speed automatic, but the visibility in here is good. The brakes are, you know, relatively strong. My tester, being an EX, has rear disc brakes, which are upgraded over the drums on the lower trim levels. And in terms of driver assistance tech, you know, for a subcompact car, it offers automatic emergency braking, as I said, and forward collision alert only on this top trim. Don't expect to find blind spot. Don't expect to find rear cross traffic alert. Don't expect to find adaptive cruise control or lane keep assist. It's just not available. I think the Honda Fit, the new one, is the only vehicle to offer that, which I'll be testing in the next couple of weeks as well. But I mean, overall, as an economy commuter car, it's very small, it's very maneuverable, it's really easy to drive. You know, it's got adequate levels of power if your expectations are managed. And you know what? The Rio, despite looking very, very plain and basic on the outside, is actually a really nice car to drive around, you know, if you're on a budget, and the interior is a lot nicer than I expected. So if you're patient enough, the Kia Rio should accelerate to 60 in a leisurely 9.5 seconds maybe. I mean, you'll be buzzing your way along, trying not to push the engine too much because it does get really loud and kind of in your face. But getting up to highway speeds, the rest of the Rio actually is pretty quiet. You know, not much road noise, not much wind noise, just a lot of engine noise. That's kind of just reminding you about a subcompact vehicle. Now, with all that pushing of the engine, you expect the fuel economy to probably suffer. And I've actually been averaging around 31 miles per gallon in mostly city driving, which actually isn't bad considering my heavy right foot. On the highway, I did get it up to about 36, 37 miles per gallon. So with only 6 speeds, in, you know, the fact that it doesn't have much power, it's kind of buzzing along and it's not going to get the greatest gas mileage on the highway. Not like a bigger car with a bigger engine, you know, where it can kind of relax a little bit. This car still feels a little bit more frantic. It never really kind of relaxes, especially if you guys, you know, want to try to get up to speed to keep pace with the rest of the traffic that's surrounding you. Now let's talk a little about the price of this all-new Rio. It's an inexpensive car, so you expect it to be cheap, and Kia actually discounted the car. They cut the price for 2018 by as much as like $1,200 on the hatchback model. This now starts at $13,900 for a base LX sedan with a manual. Add $1,000 for an automatic. Add $300 if you guys want the hatchback trim. Kind of a no-brainer. Get the better versatility of the hatchback. Although I think both body styles don't look all that pleasant, if I'm being honest. Now, my tester, you know, being the EX model, there's no options on this car. Kia kind of took more of a Honda route. It stickers for like just over $18,000. Add like $900 for destination, and you're looking at just under 20 grand for this EX 5-door hatch model, with, again, has no options. It just comes with the upgraded hen unit. It has the automatic emergency braking, and has the power windows, door locks, cruise control, the 15-inch alloy wheels, the fog lights. So, you know, that's actually not a bad price at fully loaded, you know, levels. A Honda Fit, you know, EXL with Navi can easily, you know, get close to $22,000, which is kind of where the price of the old Rio SX was if you guys got the fully loaded hatch model, which not very many of you bought anyways. So if you guys are looking for just an honest, inexpensive, you know, transportation that, you know, fits your budget, the 2018 Kia Rio could certainly be worth a look. Me personally, if I was going to spend around, you know, $20,000, I probably would just try to spend another couple thousand and get myself a bigger car, like Kia's own Forte or a Honda Civic, a Mazda 3, a Volkswagen Golf, you know, a Toyota Corolla, even a Hyundai Elantra. I would just go for the bigger car just to get, you know, those, you know, a bigger, you know, interior, you know, same gas mileage, you know, better price. But again, if you prefer something small, if you live in a very congested area, you want to kind of zip around, the 2018 Kia Rio is one of the newest offerings in the segment, and it's definitely worth a look if you guys are shopping in a subcompact for a subcompact car. Anyways, I hope you guys have enjoyed my full overview on this 2018 Kia Rio EX 5-door. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, make sure you follow me on Instagram at Redline_reviews, like us on Facebook, and if you haven't done so, please subscribe to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I'll catch you all in the next video.